I'm here with Sandie Nielsen from the Danish Technological Institute in Denmark. Hello, Sandie.
Hello.
Thank you for being here today.
My pleasure.
So, what kind of eco-design products is DTI testing for compliance?
We're actually testing quite a few products. Me personally, I'm responsible for motors, drives, pumps and fans. Colleagues of mine test air handling units, they test refrigerators, they test freezers, commercial fridges, from the supermarkets and so forth, and we have a lot of products. It would be too much to mention everything here, but we test almost all the products covered by ecodesign. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, big business for us.
Where do you see the main challenges for market surveillance?
I would say our experience we basically started at the beginning in 2011, testing motors as market surveillance in Denmark. We have seen, first of all, the loopholes, but I think we've covered that. These days, I find the biggest challenge is that we want to go the systems way, and neither the eco-design protocol or the actual ways, the tools we can use as market surveillance are basically in shape to do systems approach at this point. We only do product approach, and I think that's a big challenge. So that's going to be solved in the next period for me.
And do the testing procedures already exist?
No, not really. And that's basically the problem. We can test the products, but as a system, we have to, agree. We see in the pump world, we see the best example is the circulators, which is a unit containing everything, so it's easy to approach as a system. Mm-hmm. It's much more complicated if we think about fans or compressors and so forth, because the application is very different. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we have to compare apples with apples and not compare apples with pears. Mm-hmm. So that's the challenge. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What is your role in the IEA 4E Electric Motor Systems Annex?
EMSA, it is also called, yes. And that is, I have been part of EMSA, representing Denmark since the beginning, 2009. We actually had the first ever EMSA meeting in Copenhagen for the same reason. And my role have been, since the beginning, task leader of different tasks. Today, my main role is participating in standardization, IEC work, reporting this work back to the EMSA group, of course, and also influence the testing standards toward, to have market surveillance tools in the back of my head and try to evolve the standards in that direction. But also we have developed in Denmark something called the Motor Systems tool, which we have exploited or expanded all over the world through the EMSA project, and we are quite proud of that. And it's an impartial tool which is calculating complete motor systems without taking specific brands into account. And we actually have on the EMSA website we have a Google counter system from the downloads, and we are approaching 3,000 independent downloads of this tool worldwide. So that's quite good. Yeah. So that is also a part of my role in EMSA. Mm-hmm. Yes.
What is the IEC and EMSA global round robin on converter losses about, and what do you expect from it?
It's basically it's about developing a more simple and a more repeatable test method of frequency converters, the losses and the behavior of frequency converters. We've seen and we know from market analysis that frequency converters, when we think about systems, we need to implement even more. And we saw a publication of an IEC standard of converter testing, or rather testing the performance of converters, which needs to be improved. And the RRC has the sole goal of improving the test method, identify a good test method with high repeatability and low uncertainty, and also that it would work around the world. So therefore the main goal is to secure a test protocol for frequency converters as a component. And you said what I expect from it. Yes, I expect that we succeed, because we already did some preliminary measurements, and the first results looks quite good. So we are, I would say, cautiously optimistic about it, but of course it raises a lot of questions, and we have good dialogue with manufacturers of converters. And so it's a work in progress, but we are quite optimistic about it. And this is, by the way, one of the main tasks for the coming period of the EMSA project.
Can you tell us something about the INTAS project, and why is it important in your view?
The INTAS project is a project funded by Horizon 2020, European Commission or whatever, Horizon 2020. And it's basically based on the fact that it's extremely difficult to make regulation, and even more difficult to enforce regulation on large products. So 2 specific products which come in a large size have been selected for that project. One would be electrical transformers, which normally is metal things weighing 3 tons or more. And the other example product would be fans, which of course would be small table fans in one case, but it can also be very big fans for very big industry and so forth. And the problem, one of the problems in market surveillance is how to enforce it. Because when we talk about random check testing, normally I would test a little sample, but that's not possible if you have a very big thing. I cannot test it in my lab, and to build a lab, be able to test it would be completely impossible. Mm-hmm. So therefore, this project, the INTAS project, has developed ideas on how to, in spite of these tasks or issues, how to even in spite of this, having regulation and market surveillance, and how we do that. Mm-hmm. The result is some more deep, I would say, document control, and maybe factory visits and end customer visits, overview tests and stuff like that. But that would be too deep to explain here, but it's basically about what do we do about the big products. Mm-hmm. And we selected transformers and fans, but it also goes for motors, pumps and so forth. Big equipment.
Yeah.